What is going on, guys? We are hitting the Excel workbook again in this video. You guys really enjoyed the last one, so I figured that I would just keep the format kind of the way it was before whenever I talked about the meta assault rifles. In this video, we're going to go over skill-based matchmaking. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try and visually show you guys how the distribution is probably set up in skill-based matchmaking. I'm also going to input like my own brackets based on like what I feel looks correct, and based on like what my friends say and what the community's been saying. And then I'm going to go over kind of like why does it feel so different with Black Ops Cold War than with Modern Warfare. And then I'm going to go over my solutions, not like how to reverse boost or anything like that, but how like what Activision should do to this system to make it better for everybody. I hope you guys enjoy this video, and I'll see you on the Excel sheet. Alright, so here we are in the first tab of the sheet. Don't worry, I'm not going to bore you with the statistics and everything, especially if you haven't taken like a college stats course or even a high school stats course. You probably don't know like what really is going on. This is mostly for the people that are going to look at kind of like the methodology and what I did and kind of say like, how come the distribution doesn't look like this? Or why did you use this one instead of that one? So I'm going to kind of break that down really quickly. Another thing, I have a bachelor's degree in petroleum engineering. A lot of what we do is predictive statistics, and these are kind of the methods that we use. So this is kind of like where I got like the know-how on how to do everything. So first of all, like we see this normal distribution on the left side, right over, let me get my cursor over there, right over here. Wait, what? Why is it? Okay, there it is. Sorry. So we have the normal distribution right here. This is kind of typically what you would expect data to look like. And this is probably honestly what Black Ops Cold War and Activision was thinking that their KD and their score per minute, their win-loss and everything combined was going to look like. And it was going to make this like nice, pretty graph here where it would be very easy to divide up all the percentiles and put those people in their own bracket. Because it doesn't look like this, it created a lot of problems and frustration in what we see. And I'm going to get into that in a bit. Basically what I'm saying here is like I just want the people at Activision to take a stats class and know how this stuff works so they could have avoided these mistakes. But anyway, so and then we have here like a log normal thing. This is kind of what I predicted KD to look like, where you have like, these are going to be like most of the people are going to be on this side below average. And then it's going to kind of tail off to like infinity right here because you could technically have an infinite KD. And this is the distribution I use, which is triangle. I try to combine kind of like what I thought like score per minute would look like, what I thought KD would look like, and win-loss and all these things combined. And I got this triangular distribution. I'm only going to focus on KD for simplicity, and so that you guys can tell like, okay, like where like the skill gap really is, because that's kind of like a main thing that people focus on. But the actual score-based matchmaking is a lot more complicated. It involves your win-loss, it involves like your movement, it involves your play style, it involves your KD and everything else. So let's kind of look and focus on like KD and what I created and this distribution looks like. So right here you can see like this is what I made on these left things here. This is basically the triangular distribution methodology. There's like a bunch of like super long equations. You can see like this one, and it's it's fairly complicated. All the numbers just change because there's a random number function right here, and basically what it does, like what the random number function is, just takes an equation and it's kind of like your f of x, and it's just plugging in x over and over again. It honestly goes down to 2000, and it's just so I can get a big enough sample size to fill in the distribution. Anyway, so that's done. I'm done with stats. We're not going to talk about stats anymore. That was way too long. I hate statistics, to be honest with you. I know I seem like a statistics nerd, but I honestly don't like it. It's very frustrating. It's hard to do this stuff. I think this took me like 6 hours to put together. So here is what I think the bracket system in Black Ops Cold War looks like. As you can see here, the very left, this is what we call like the protective bracket. We've seen a bunch of like reverse boosters and TikTok people that are making jokes about the skill-based matchmaking system, and they'll play bad for like 10 games in a row. They'll kill themselves over and over again. They'll lower all their stats significantly, and they'll get in this bracket, and it's almost like the people don't know how to play the game. Honestly, I'm fine with this bracket being here. I think that it's going to be people that are brand new to video games. They don't want to get shit on by scum every single time they join into a game. And they should have their own bracket. I really do think this, especially because I think the majority of these people that are going to stay in this bracket are going to be the people that have like some sort of handicap. They want to play video games too. They want to have fun with their friends or their mentors and everything else. And they should be allowed to. So I'm fine with this bracket staying here. And then next off we have, below average, average, above average, good, elite. So the common issues that I've run into and I've heard the community running into with this just general bracket system is it's very hard to play with your friends. And what I mean by that is myself, I have between, I think like a 1.7 and a 1.8 KD. So I lie in between these two brackets. Most of my friends have a 0.8 KD. So whenever we party together, it's going to put us somewhere in here probably. And what that's going to do is I'm going to play better, right? I'm going to, that's fine, right? But they're going to play a lot worse. So they're going to be frustrated because they're going to feel like they're, not good at the game all of a sudden. And, they're not going to have any fun because they're going to die more often than they normally do. Myself, I'm going to do better, but I'm ruining the experience for all the people that should be in this bracket because I was able to infiltrate it using my friends. The third thing is that I'm going to get tired of having to carry the team and doing everything because the people I play with aren't as good. And it's going to get more and more frustrating having to do everything, especially games like Warzone. So like imagine like you're the good player on your team and you're constantly the last alive. And you don't know why. Well, this is why. It's because like most of your friends are used to playing against worse people. And then all of a sudden they're playing against better people and they're going to struggle. That's fine. It's part of the game. It's part of getting better. Another thing that I have an issue, just in general, is nothing is transparent from Activision. We know the bracket system exists. We don't know exactly what it looks like. This is what I think it looks like, but we don't really know exactly what it looks like. And most of the time they kind of deny that it's in the game anyway, but it's so obvious that it's there. I would just want to know like what bracket I'm in and what bracket like the lobby that I enter into is in. So if I play better against good players, I'm like, okay, I must be getting better at the game. Whereas like if I destroy bad players, I'm not really better at the game. I just got lucky. And vice versa. Like if I'm playing terribly and I can't, get any kills and I have like a 0.7 KD that game, which is kind of odd for me. I would like to know that it was because I was at least in this bracket and I can kind of gauge my skill level. Whereas like with this denial of like skill-based matchmaking doesn't exist by Activision, we don't know how good we are. And that's kind of hard to get better if you don't know how good you are. Basically, like, this is kind of like the counter argument of people saying like, well, if you don't like skill-based matchmaking, then good at the game. I don't know how good I am. So how am I supposed to get better? Anyway, and then the second thing is like the grind for camos is almost impossible if you're in this bracket. Imagine trying to get point blank kills with people that can, gonna headshot you across the map. And you're gonna die in less than a second because their aim is always like perfectly on point, and you have to rush up to them and try to get to them closely and take them out that way. The camo grind is nearly impossible. And like most of these games have like a lot of cool camo challenges and different weapons and a lot of different stuff. If you're in this top bracket, you have to use the meta, whatever it is at that time, and you can't grind for camos and you can't play differently. You have to try all the time. For almost no reason. Like, why? You're trying so hard for almost no reward. All right, so the next thing we're going to go into is why does this feel different than Modern Warfare? A lot of people say, like, this feels a lot stricter. I can immediately tell, like, for me personally, after my first 10 games, I had a fairly high KD. It was like a 2.5 or something like that. And then all of a sudden, I could tell that the skill-based matchmaking kicked in and everybody I was playing against was already prestiged. And this was like day 2. And I was like, oh, no, here we go again. And then obviously since then, my KD has come down. I think now it's like a 1.7, 1.8, somewhere in there. But anyway, So the reason why this feels so different than Modern Warfare, I think, is one of the main things is I think that there is more brackets in Black Ops Cold War than there was with Modern Warfare. And what this is going to do is, one, you're likely going to be in the wrong bracket because most people are going to be kind of like me. Like, I'm right here on this edge, or you're right here on this edge. So it's going to bounce you between these two brackets. And you're going to get annoyed very quickly because you're going to be better than the bracket on the left and you're going to do well. And then the next game is going to put you in the bracket on the right and you're going to get destroyed. And you're just going to be constantly back and forth, having a very inconsistent play time. And it's going to be very old. You're going to get very frustrated very quickly. The next, and then what this is also going to do is like there's going to be stricter matchmaking and less randomness. So what this means is like even if you're in this top bracket in Modern Warfare, these guys right here are mostly just above average. It's going to be like a normal play. And then these guys over here are going to be very good. It's going to be harder, yes, if you're in this bracket, but this one is very different from this one. All the people with a 1.8 KD are good at the game. They're very, very good at the game. Whereas like 1.6, 1.7, you kind of get like sort of some normalcy there. It doesn't seem like every single person in your lobby is like a pro player. Right. So there's a little bit more randomness, especially with this bracket here in the middle. You know, this is probably where I would honestly probably want to be. You know, because I think I find myself always at this like upper edge on whatever the bracket system is. And I think, you know, most of the time, I think when I'm playing with my friends that are worse, this is probably where I would end up in Modern Warfare. And for the most part, we have a decent time. I think there is some sort of like a not like a bleeding effect. I'm playing too much Assassin's Creed, but like you know, just like this, like some gray area in between here, where like these kind of numbers kind of flow back and forth a little bit, and that would kind of create some sort of like feeling of like, wow, why was this guy so good? Well, he's either reverse boosting or it's just like there's some sort of back and forth. My next issue is that with Black Ops Cold War, it seems like this is based on recent matches only, rather than like lifetime stats. So an example for Modern Warfare is that whenever I first started playing, this is probably the first Call of Duty I've played seriously since like Black Ops 2. So I was a little rusty entering it. I think in Modern Warfare, I don't remember what my KD was in the beginning, but I think it was around like a 1. And over time, that slowly increased. I think right now it's like a 1.65. And I could feel the difference, but it was slow. It was gradual. I noticed that now, whenever I play with my friends, it's a lot harder to win than it was before. Before, whenever like I got good at the game, but we were still in this bracket, we were winning like at least a game a day. It was really fun. It was really cool. And it wasn't like I was like shitting on everybody either. Like it was still fairly competitive because of this, how large the bracket is. There were some teams we ran into and we took them out very easily. Then there were other teams who were like, oh, wow, you know, we barely got out of that. And I think with something like Warzone, there shouldn't even be a bracket system to begin with, just because of like the variability of the randomness that's just in the game itself. And what I mean by that is like, does the other team have their loadout or not? Do they have the high ground? Do they have cover? Are you guys like sprinting through the middle of the field away from the gas and they're just sitting there waiting for you? That's why I think that there shouldn't be a bracket system in something like a Battle Royale or a Warzone, just because there are already so many things going against you constantly. The last thing you want is to have, you know, Stone Mountain and his buddies sitting up top Superstore while you're running through the field right there. Like you're just not gonna have a good time. You're gonna get beat constantly. And like I said before, it's very hard to play with your friends like that, unless all of you and all your buddies are really good. And I'm not saying that I want to get rid of this skill-based matchmaking just so I can beat on bad players, because I'm not that kind of person. One, I would like to play like competitively just with me and my buddies. And what I mean competitively is like in the public lobby, because I feel like that's where we would most match the skill of everybody else, just because our skill level varies so much. That way that we're always having a pretty good time. Whereas like normally with skill-based matching, most of the time we're all pissed off constantly. Um, and then another thing with this recent matches and everything is it's going to be a lot easier to reverse boost. You only have to play, you can kill yourself for like 5 or 10 games, and all of a sudden you're in this protected bracket. That's not fair for anybody. I really don't like the idea of reverse boosting. I think it's like, if you're doing it for like research or like a joke, that's fine. But if you're doing this on purpose to drop a nuke on people that can barely play the game, like, don't ruin the experience for them. Like, that's not cool. All right, so with this being said, this is how I would like public matches to look. With this protected bracket on the way left, probably some sort of gray area. Like, I'm not saying that like it has to be this strict, but maybe like a 1 point, like a 0.7 ish. Like I said, most of my buddies have a 0.8 KD, and they're really not that bad at the game. Like, they're pretty good. They have good moments, so I don't think they need to be protected. All right, so, and then right here I have it. So what this function does is it's going to grab 12 random numbers from here. And these random numbers, like I said, are going to be from 0.6 above, protecting the protected bracket. And what I did was I put in this function, I did it. I don't know why there's a 0 here. There's like some sort of error in the function where it pulls a 0 every now and then, but I kept doing it until there wasn't a 0, and then I copied and pasted the numbers down here, and I made some sort of like a typical matchmaking on what you would see with this bracket. Personally, I don't see anything wrong with this. There's a 1.9 and a 0.7 on the other in the same team. On this side, the worst player is a 0.9. He's going to be, if you have a 1 KD, you can compete with everybody. I don't care what anybody says. Unless the other team is entirely like having a 2 KD, you can compete with everybody. You're pretty good at the game. I had a 1 point KD once, and I thought I was pretty good at the game. You're pretty good at the game. Most of my buddies have that. Like I said, pretty good at the game. I need to stop saying that. So anyway, this is fine. And this is what Call of Duty has always been like. And with this sort of a system, you're never going to feel like whenever you get better at the game gets harder. Where in the world does that ever make sense? And number two, with this sort of system, you're not going to get burnt out as quickly if you just want to play and have a casual game. Maybe you're warming up for more competitive play, or you're going for challenges or camos or something like that. And that's what most of the good players are going to do in this sort of system. I would like to think that everybody's good and is not just going to like sit here and be like the top player in the entire world and they're just going to shit on everybody all day. I don't think that that's fair. And you'll see in my solutions, I have some sort of like, I've provided some incentives on why not to do that. Like, to reward players for playing the ranked playlist, basically. So, but like, this is kind of like what we've always been used to. And this is where you would go if you're just wanting to hang out with your friends and like search and destroy at like 3 a.m. You don't want to try that hard. The only analogy I can think about this is like, let's say like you're playing football, right? And you want to like throw the football around with your family and friends. But there's this weird spell on you that as soon as you touch a football, you're in full pads and you're playing at people that are your skill level or better. So like, let's say like you're in high school, all right? You're very good. You're like top. You're a top recruit and everything. And every time you put on pads, you're thrown into D1 colleges and everybody's coming after you. You're going to get burnt out really quickly. Pretty soon you're saying like, wow, I guess I'm not really good at this game. I quit. I'm done. I don't want to play this anymore because I'm tired of losing all the time. And it's not like, and like most people complaining about this system, nobody's saying like, honestly, I like this system. It's pretty good. No, everybody's saying we're losing all the time. No matter what your skill level is, there are pro players that are upset because they can't have fun and play the game anymore. They have to act like it's a competitive tournament all the time, and that's very tiresome. So what is my solution? Why is there not a ranked playlist? They already have the system in place. It's not going anywhere. They spent a ton of money on it. It's not going anywhere. In finance, we call this a sunk cost. They should just be like, hey, we spent a lot of money on this. People hate it. Let's get rid of it. They're not going to do that. I'm not going to go into the bad management, everything else of every other company in the United States. But anyway, at least give us some sort of transparency. I would like to know what bracket I'm in or what bracket my lobby's in, so I know kind of what my skill level is and how I can, kind of gauge that. I want to know if I'm getting better or not. But this is kind of like where I think that they can turn this bracket system into something really cool. So first of all, to incentivize people to play in this bracket anyway, I think there should be some sort of bonus XP, probably 1.5. That way that if you're playing the public playlist, you feel like you're wasting your time, especially if you're like a good player and you want to grind out the game a lot. All the good players will probably come here anyway. But they have the option to play in the public playlist if they're grinding for camos or something like that, or they just want to relax, have fun, enjoy a game. I don't know why games have to be so try-hard and competitive if they're online games. We just want to have fun. There's been like a big issue lately with the gaming community. We're not having fun playing games anymore. And this is why. But anyway, and another thing that I thought was really cool is if they did like emblems and gun camos for every bracket, and then the top bracket, give them like a special emblem, give them a special gun camo, and give them their own special operator, and have this reward system reset every single season. And everybody starts over in like a reset in their bracket, and they kind of work up. They play the game. They get better, they raise their score per minute, they raise their KD, and have that reset every season too. Same thing. So just so we know that we're getting better. That's all we want to know. And then another thing I thought was really cool is that at the end of every single tournament, you can use this bracket system and have a $250,000 seasonal tournament. If you guys think this is crazy, NBA 2K has been doing this for the past few years now, and their community loves it. Like I said, they're having fun again doing this stuff. But anyway, you have to be in the top bracket to qualify. You can enter as a solo or as a team. And what I mean by this is I think that the way that it determines if you get in the tournament or not is going to be based on like solo wins. But if you enter as a team and you and your two other buddies get in to the tournament, I think you should have the option to play together. So what I mean by that is like, so there's a qualifying weekend at the end of each season. The highest number of wins qualifies. Like I said, this is going to be solo wins. And like I said, like if you and your buddy who entered together both get in, you'd play on the same team. If you get in or he gets in and it's like only one of you gets in, then you would just put you guys on like a random team that has like an empty slot. And then the top 16 teams would enter the tournament. And it would be like an all-weekend thing, and they would play, domination, team deathmatch, search and destroy, best 2 out of 3, advances, and then I think that this would be really good for streamers, broadcasters. We could put this on YouTube, on Twitch, maybe even on ESPN since esports is getting so big. I love this idea, and I think it incentivizes people to play competitively, but have fun doing it because you're actually trying to get something out of it. It's rewarding. I don't see a lot of point in trying so hard in a video game and have to try all the time for no reason. Unless you're like a content creator, but if you're not a big one, what's the point? Like most of the time people play a game to have fun, not like have to try their ass off constantly. You want to get better, yes, and I think this is, if you want to get better and you're serious about Call of Duty, then this idea is going to be the game changer. All right, guys, that is going to close this video. I think I'm going to do sort of like a call to action. I think that if you like this idea of a ranked playlist and a tournament and everything, blow this video up. I'm not doing this for my personal benefit. I think it'd be really cool if somebody from Activision saw something like this and we actually saw these sort of changes happen. So if you want that to happen, like this video, share this video, make it popular. I want somebody from Activision to see it just so that we can get the changes that we need. And as always, guys, I'm going to do a lot more videos like this over Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. You don't want to miss out. Please subscribe to my channel and have a great day.